Now, why did the library choose to do this style of format as opposed to like a traditional debate, this kind of meet and greet forum?
Yeah, well, we thought it was really important to give the public access to the candidates that are running for office. And sometimes what happens in a more formal debate or a really structured environment, people just end up giving speeches, they're kind of not really responding to the questions, and people don't often get to ask their questions, right? The politicians are just rehearsing their lines and seeing how it goes. So we thought of a different format that would make things a lot more accessible, something a little bit more grassroots, where we set up tables where all the candidates are here, and then each member of the public can really just come in, talk to whoever they want, ask whatever questions they want, and really just do it face to face. So it's a no barriers approach. It makes it human, it makes it personal, and we found some really good success. A lot of people coming out and getting to ask what they want to ask instead of maybe what the moderator is interested in.
Just asking people, voters, what is important to them in this election?
Okay, I would say I really like the freedom of speech, and I think the financial, I'd like to get our finances back together, get rid of that deficit.
Of course, there's the American Trump factor, and that's right up there. But I don't want that's not the only thing the election's about. It's about social justice and important like environmental concerns.
Well, for me, it's definitely affordability because grocery prices are just getting outrageous. We're here with Brendan Hyatt. How you doing, Brendan?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Well, thank you very much. This is a great forum. We're walking around, we're asking all the candidates what is important to them leading up into this election.
Yeah, to me, I've been talking to people for 18 months, and what I'm hearing from the people around our riding is that there's a real issue with cost of living and affordability, and I think that we need to really be working on helping people be able to afford the things like the basics, such as groceries, getting an apartment or a roof over their head, buying groceries for their kids, healthy groceries, walk the aisles and those sorts of things. And that's really important to actually serve our community so that they actually have the basic necessities. And right now, people are struggling with that. The other thing that I think is really important is, there's a lot of crime, and crime has gone up a lot in our area. And, talking with policing, both my brothers are police officers. And, we need to actually tackle that. But we also need to have front-end services for people and back-end services for people so that we can help them get a hand up. Yeah, so thanks.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What I think's important?
Yeah.
Well, I think the overwhelming question in this coming election is who do we want sitting at the table with Donald Trump and Elon Musk representing us as Canadians? I think the choice is pretty clear. You have a guy like Carney, who's a PhD in economics from Oxford, former governor of Bank of Canada, governor of Bank of England, top executive with some of the biggest firms in the world. And you have Poilievre, who went right out of undergraduate into House of Parliament and good for slick one-liners, and that's about it. And this is a time, I think, for intelligent representation, for smart people to be standing up for our interests, and I think Carney's the guy.
So, for the past 4 weeks, we've been out at the doors talking to people, and really, it's about Canadian unity. It's about making sure that we buy Canadian, we build Canadian, we support the industries, businesses, and the communities that make Canada strong. We really want to make sure that, the people are supported. That's the workers, not only the bankers and the billionaires, but also about healthcare. People are worried about cuts to healthcare. It's one of the top issues in Thunder Bay Rainy River is access to that healthcare, the wait times, having enough staff, having enough funding, and making sure that not only do we maintain it, but that we expand it. People have talked about dental care and the pharmacare and things like that to make sure that we keep on building those, that they don't disappear.
The most important thing about running in this upcoming election is listening to every single constituent and knowing that we have an overwhelming majority of Canadians who are just utterly fed up with the 338 MPs currently elected in Parliament. And affordability is a huge issue, and with the tariffs, that is another issue. And when you're talking to farmers, there are are utterly fed up as well. I'm a farmer myself. Also, my husband has a trucking company, and the carbon tax is killing us. The Liberal government has prologued Parliament since the 6th of January, and that costs the taxpayers $39,000 an hour. And the carbon tax is still not removed, and it is in law, and the Liberal government still obviously can't deal with that because they have Mark Carney, who isn't even an elected MP, so he can't debate anything. And then, I'm running my campaign on faith, family, and farming, and also freedom, fairness, respect, and responsibility. I hear from a lot of constituents that they are just utterly fed up. They are working in my campaign, in my perspective, and growing up in the Thunder Bay area, hard work meant something. That means the more you work, the harder you work, the more money you are supposed to make. And with all the taxes and the regulations and just the red tape, Canadians are feeling utterly frustrated, and they're not getting ahead. They're living paycheck to paycheck. And the People's Party of Canada, if elected in Thunder Bay Rainy River, I would like to change that. I would like to give people that tax break. I don't want to promise like every other. I've been sitting beside for the last month of the campaign. I've been sitting beside all of these other federal parties who are my opponents, and they all promise the same thing. They all promise having more subsidies. Well, what people don't realize is you can't promise more subsidies when we're over $1 trillion in debt with the Liberal and NDP coalition. And what I would like to do, what my party proposes to do, is go home, clean house, balance that budget, and like any fiscally responsible human being would do. And then also, when you're talking about healthcare, I would like to influence bringing the Spanish model of care here to Ontario, which is 20 years more advanced than in Canada. And that model of care has been working great. It is a mix of public and private. We have senior citizens who have worked here their whole life, and they've been utterly neglected. They're waiting 18 months for a hip replacement. Well, what if we had options? What if the People's Party of Canada gave that power back to the people, and we had options, and we could have a socialized healthcare system and a privatized healthcare system, and that way we could bring more doctors over to our region, and alleviating pressure off of the broken socialist colonial style healthcare that we have that is clearly not working. And when we think about giving power back to the people, we should think about having less regulations and not more. We, the People's Party of Canada, is the only party that will actually get us out of the WHO, the UN agenda, the Paris Accord, and the WEF. And that's really important because these are an unelected organization. These people are an unelected organization, and the Government of Canada and all of the parties, all 338 MPs who are elected, they are all in favor of funneling billions of dollars to these organizations influencing our policies. And it should not be like that. We are the people of Canada. We are the People's Party of Canada. We want to give the power back to the people, and that's the bottom line.
The most important thing to me is that why we're having this election. I've been saying this and saying it for some time. This election is not about my generation. My generation, the majority are retired, have a pension, don't have debt. This election is going to be about the next generation and a generation that follows that. We need to grow our economy. We need to make it so that people aren't living paycheck to paycheck. We need to have housing affordability for people. Someday those people are going to get to where I am now, and I certainly want to afford them the same opportunity that I had.
Thanks for chatting with us. We're just asking all the candidates what's important to them going into this election.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, we're in the finish, the last stretch of the election, and we've had just such an incredible turnout of volunteers and donors and campaign organizers, and so my first thought is just how incredible my team has been. We've been door knocking all across the region. We've been having conversations like these with constituents. We've been recruiting money. We've been organizing for Election Day and for the advance polls, and I couldn't do it without a great team. So that's really in my heart right now. It's just this incredible group of people that show up to help you win an election. In terms of what voters are saying, they're saying that what's most important to them is who has the strength and the experience to lead us in this very uncertain time with the United States. That is the top line conversation I'm having. People are worried about Trump. They have many times actually thought that the leader of the Conservative Party sounds like Trump. In fact, over the last 3 years, he sounded a lot like Trump. And people have real concerns about slogans as a way to lead our country through what is a very challenging time. Mr. Carney, on the other hand, I think has given many voters comfort that there is somebody with his experience, his credibility. He's been the Bank of Canada governor during the recession of 2008. Of course, he helped Europe or UK in their huge decision to leave the EU. That was a big thing. But also what people don't know about him is he was also a Deputy Minister of Finance. He knows how to run government. He knows how government should be run, what good governance looks like. And I think people are feeling that and sensing that. And that's what I'm hearing at the doors. Of course, people are still concerned about things like climate change. Obviously, housing is a very prominent conversation, but they feel assured by having a choice with the Liberal Party to choose someone who's got that steady hand and that seasoned senior leadership that I think the country really needs right now.
In terms of what's important to me, as someone who's a lawyer, as someone who was on the board of the hospital for many years, as someone who's been involved in education, and someone who has done a lot of advocacy in the community, I think the issues that I saw working in the courts and working with people, healthcare is one of the biggest ones, making sure that we are better funding healthcare and ensuring access to healthcare across the region. That's a huge issue. I think ensuring that we have housing for everyone and that we are housing people in homes and not just jail is really important. Jail is the most expensive and inhumane option that we have. So as much as possible, I think it's important to avoid that. I think we need to protect the environment and consider future generations and protect those resources. And I think we also need to protect people's rights and access to services more generally and infrastructure across the region. As I've traveled across the region, tons of people have said to me, "You're the only candidate we've seen maybe ever," some of the places. And that's disheartening to me because this is a huge riding and all of these people also deserve to be able to meet their candidate. They also deserve representation. They also deserve to have their voices heard. And so for me, that's been really important, getting across the region as much as possible. I've been out to Nakina, Errolin, out to Long Lake, Long Lac, Manitowaj, Nebenzagibic, up to Armstrong, Whitesand, Kiashkizaging. And so I've been to all 12 road-based Indigenous communities, and we've canvassed at the airport and gone over to the Valhalla with the Neskantaga refugees. So, we've gone over to the Valhalla with the Neskantaga evacuees because of their health center flooding, and so they're going to have their own polling station as well. So just making sure that everyone gets the same opportunities when it comes to representation, I think is really, really important to me.
What's important to me, I'm running because I have an 8-year-old son, and I want him to have the freedom to live here, start a family if he so wishes, and find a good job and find a career and have abundance. So that's what I'm running for. As far as current things, I think the tariffs are on everybody's mind. but there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of uncertainty around it. So I would like to see government negotiating seriously, honestly, and professionally, and it doesn't seem like that's happening right now, and it's pretty disappointing that we're in this election and nothing's really happening with that. So that's probably the biggest thing on my mind right now.